If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone and computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more other outlets. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Welcome to another edition of the New Dawn Podcast. I am filling in today as your host and commissioner, Timbo. And man, this is going to be a very fun episode. Let's get right to it. You guys know who we are. We are the MSR, Madden Sim Revolution. You can check us out on the web, maddensimrevolution.com. Man, we have a lot of stuff going on right now within the community. Things are bubbling right now. Madden 21 is just around the corner, but we're still going strong in Madden 20, still in MSR Season 22, the 9th season of this cycle. We'll be rounding off with the 10th season in MSR Season 23. Let's get right to it. I want to get to my panel here tonight. Fellas, Ura, how are you this evening?
I'm doing good. Just ready to get the showdown done with.
That's right. Ura is we'll be playing. Well, this will be after you'll hear this after the fact. But Ura is playing in Showdown tonight on this Wednesday. Wakanda, you're filling in tonight for Jugs. How are you, my man?
I'm good, man. Can't complain. Sun came up, so it's all good.
Always. And we have this is going to be a very special edition. We'll be trying to do this around the entire MSR, but we're going to start with division talk. And we have the AFC East, man. Ura gave them the name the old Junker race because, you know, this cycle has been, it's only one guy. One guy has mainly been the one coming out of the division, sometimes with 7 wins. But this season, BMT is he's trying to write that off a little bit and say, you know, there's more than just some junk around here in the AFC. BMT, how are you feeling this season?
Feeling good. You know, nice day out here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. But yeah, definitely need to put some respect on the AFC East out here.
I hear that. We also have Bueno in the building, the Bills user. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, guys? Bueno is here.
And we gotta save this for last. Smooth is here. Smooth, the Miami Dolphins user. What's going on, bro?
Yeah, it's me in the building. How is everybody doing this evening? Glad to be on the show. We definitely got to put some respect on the AFC East now. BMT is representing us well.
Well, let's get right to it, fellas. We have talked about it.
Don't forget Twayne, bro. Don't disrespect my guy.
Oh, my excuse me, Twayne. I'm looking at all the names here. How could I forget the New England Patriots? Twayne, how are you, my man?
No, I'm good. I can't believe you just did that to me, but
I thought I had all 3. I thought I had all 4 of you guys already. My fault, bro. Appreciate you joining us here tonight. But let's get right to it. I'm gonna start with you first, sir. You know, we talked about it. You guys have been dubbed the old Junker race, but this season's been a little bit different. Twayne, you even spoke about it. This season has been a little bit rough for you. But let's talk about the actual AFC East race. We have BMT at the top. Bueno has had some good wins, and he's got himself back around 500 right now. And of course, you and Smooth are also, also playing around still in the division. How do you feel about this season and this cycle as a whole within, competing against you?
Well, it's been a rough cycle for me, for sure. I think I've only won the division once, and I was at 8-8. But as far as inter-division play, I've always had fun. Really good games almost every time we play. I think BMT is the only one I'd ever have trouble actually getting a W against.
And look, for all intents and purposes, man, this season has kind of come around in a different form. You know, the Jets and Joe Ellis, he's leading the guy. And let's kind of get to that a little bit, BMT. You come into this team and they were just thrown all over the place, man. They had draft picks were traded. Top draft picks were traded. You had good players who just weren't being used properly. You end up trading your quarterback, Acosta, actually traded him to me. And you went with your own feel as you're trying to close out here in the Madden 20 cycle. Just speak about how this season's kind of putting everything together for you.
Yeah, man, definitely. Well, I kind of figured I had to do what I needed to do. People thought I was crazy when I traded for a 71 overall quarterback to try to turn it around, but it worked out, and the abilities definitely helped out. But I don't know, AFC East is tough, man. They keep you grounded here.
Yeah, look, Joe Ellis is actually one of the people, up for Offensive Player of the Year in the AFC. Even could be a dark horse candidate for the league's MVP because just his level of play has really risen this year and has really helped your team get to where you are. Bueno, you've had a good season where you started off rough, but you had some really big wins against teams that maybe at the time we looked at that, your wins against them as bad losses for those teams. Now, you're kind of showing that, look, man, I would consider you a pretty good user and someone that we thought would have a better cycle than maybe that you've had. Just speak about how this season is and how you're trying to finish out this cycle.
I mean, I will be honest, when it came to the start of the season, I didn't put 100% effort into it, mainly because of the roster. It's Buffalo. Nobody likes Buffalo, so I definitely didn't want to promote it.
Whoa.
I was going to say, there's a Bills fan in here.
Hey, watch it.
Man. Like, this season would be nothing without that rookie running back. Now he's a superstar. I think I have him. I don't know if I have a Max Factor in this league or not, but that human joystick, that's something that I never experienced. I always heard you guys talking about it and bitching about it, and now I'm finally seeing exactly why.
He is X Factor, by the way. He is.
There we go.
Well, on the other end, we have Smooth, and Smooth, you have the much talked about and the revered Joey Johnson. It hasn't, outside of one season, of course, where you did go to the playoffs, it hasn't been I guess the last couple seasons, just hasn't been the consistency that you're used to. Speak about that.
Well, as far as what I feel is happening, it's been roster kind of influx. I had a rebuild job with Miami. It was a heavy job, and I had an identity of running the football and really sticking to that. But I trying to diversify a little bit and really trying to get those things in order. But what has come to happen is I got Joey J. I got pulled off the trade for Trubisky. But the problem has been the passing game hasn't been quite where I needed it to be. Receivers have struggled getting open, and it's cause for turnovers. But I've done my best to make do and manufacture points the best way I can. I mean, hey, at least I've discovered my special team games on point. But it's something that we've I've been pushing and struggling. But I knew it was going in. So the level of where it is kind of where the expectation was. The one playoff berth was great, but hopefully I'm gonna give it one last hurrah and see if we can make it a go and carry that momentum in 21.
All right. Well, with that being said, Wakanda, your opinion of the AFC East this cycle, the group that we have right here, just kind of put a scope on what you see amongst these guys and how all this cycle with them has come together.
I mean, it's tough, and I feel bad because I don't mean this in a bad way, but I expected Bueno to dominate the division. Like when we did team selection, and it was like him, Delvar, and a couple other people, like Smooth as well, and then like the other users. I think it was Yost that had the Patriots, but I expected, because him being a former champ, I thought he was going to dominate this cycle for that.
I did for the first couple of seasons.
I mean, you had success, but the thing is, like, with the current group that they have, it's kind of interesting to watch them play, because I've played all of them and I've labbed with Twayne, so like none of them really played the same. Like BMT's gonna throw the ball pretty much the whole game if you allow him to, and then he might run the ball, and then there's almost the polar opposite of Smooth, or Smooth is gonna look to try to establish the run and run with Trubisky, and then you kind of have Bueno and Twayne that are kind of in the middle of those two, where one's one extreme the other way and one's one extreme the other, the opposite direction. So it's kind of like the last game that they had between Bueno and Twayne, where I think it was like 102 combined points or whatever it was. Like their interdivisional games might be the most entertainment games that we have in our league. It's just because the overall success of the division has been great. They're not necessarily on showdowns or in the playoffs, but like when they play against each other, they're some of the most entertaining games that we have. So it's a very competitive division, and they've gotten good wins. Like Smooth, Bueno's beat a couple of good teams. Smooth beat DK to start the season. Twayne's been competitive with a lot of players as well. So it's not like they're not competitive. They just kind of beat up on each other. And obviously BNT has a chance to kind of set the record straight for that division as we approach the postseason. So it's been very interesting to watch. It's a lot more competitive than the records would would say when they play each other, but it is a competitive division for sure.
Yeah, it really is. It really is a tight knit group of guys that, you know, any given, have you seen, if there's anything the cycle has taught us, is that anybody can win this division. It's all about, you know, catching your flow, winning at the right time. Of course, you have to win in division, which, you know, of course, gives you the title. One game I could highlight this year was the matchup between Kylo and Twayne, and that game was an all-timer. 52-51 was the score. Jalen Hurts threw 5 TDs. Swift threw 2 TDs. McFarland, the running back, had 3 TDs. And one quick note on McFarland, and this is actually to you, Twayne. I'm very curious about what changed with your team, because I personally feel that the moment McFarland became superstar and he became the jukebox player, it's like almost your team went the opposite direction. It was like you guys were trending upward. You have won some pretty big games. You've won other big games this cycle, but I think at that point of the time when McFarland really took that next step as a running back, it's almost like you even said, I'm not used to playing with this type of ability or having this type of back where I can do these things. So it was almost like there was an adjustment period for you. Speak to that.
Yeah, so it felt 100% polar opposite of what, because before I would be able to run it up the middle or outside. Usually spin move was my go-to. And then after he became superstar, it seemed like my O-line stopped blocking as well. I couldn't figure out the jukebox, like the timing of it. And it made it a lot tougher for some reason. And so that's a reason I've actually gotten way away from the run game this season.
Okay, and you know, in seeing some of the other big time matchups you guys have had, one thing I can say is that, you know, BMT has always been one of those guys that stepped up since he's been in the league and played some guys pretty competitively. Smooth, you just mentioned him as well. Bueno, I spoke about it at outset. I think you're a pretty good user, someone else that could really be in the mix. Something that I think sticks out to me about this division overall is that, yes, Urok gave you guys the old junker race, but how do you guys actually feel about being called that? Because it was really the like who comes out of that with the title of being the shiniest stinker, basically based on that's how Urok is trying to say to you guys, said just, you guys stink in the division, but someone has to win it, so that's why it's the old junker race. How did you guys feel about that? And what since being kind of having that tag, how you guys see yourselves, competing week in and week out, with that kind of tag?
Well, that's it's kind of annoying that he was the one saying it because
Bro, out of all people,
he's had like one playoff win all cycle or something like that.
Ooh.
But
shoot the shot, bang bang.
But he's not 100% wrong, because I think up until like this season, maybe last season, I think I had the best record of winning the division between the four of us, and that was at 8-8. So not 100% wrong, but
yeah,
still
obviously
annoying.
the past couple seasons, I think we've averaged where the top division winner would maybe get to 9 wins. Obviously last season with it being 8, and now we got BMT being the outlier this year. And he's definitely gonna carry on. I think that he might even make it to the divisional this year. One thing that I will point out, even though that you want to throw the names out and tag us at the division, as a division, we actually got probably one of the best classes when it comes to the running backs, because Miami got Joey Johnson, BMT got his guy.
Birmingham is good money, boy. I really like him.
Yes, and I mean, I just played Twayne, and his running back is fucking ridiculous. And
McFarland,
I got Jonathan Taylor that came out of nowhere. So look, if anything, we weren't able to set it in stone this season. I actually feel more confident for this upcoming season than I have in the previous.
Yeah, I don't even know if you can call us the junker race anymore. I mean, Bueno just beat Kylo, and that's arguably the best user in MSR. So anyone, I don't know if you guys ever beat Kylo. So I don't know.
I did last year on a magical throw to end the game.
Yeah,
I mean,
so it's
Kylo
competitive.
slips up once in a while.
I was gonna say a broken clock is still right twice a day.
Hey, we're competitive though. I think that within our division, every game's super fun. Always usually a 1-score game, and whenever we play out of the division, we're always competing with everybody. So I think that's also just a testament to the league in general, just the competition all around. But I don't think it's a junker race anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
it was
For what it's
9-7
worth,
last year.
I don't take any of our matches for game. It's always a challenge.
Right.
Smooth, let me get you in here. You had a couple of things you were trying to get in. Just speak about your perspective, and of course, speaking about the junker race. You won the division once, since that tag has come about, and of course, you've been trying to figure things out with JJ, and you had a couple of different quarterbacks this cycle. Just speak about what it's like to try to be the one, the top dog in that division.
See, one of the things, like the beauty of our division is that we literally, there's no gimme game. So you're literally like, unlike a lot of people that are playing in these opposite divisions where like in the middle of the season they know they're done. Like, we're playing meaningful football like throughout the course of every single game. So we playing 16 meaningful games. So, and I just think that, between, we might have gotten the moniker of the old junker race, but I think once BMT, like I called in the beginning of the season, when BMT get rolling, I think he get hot. He can take it to the chip. I believe it, man. I've played him enough to know.
Yeah, I will say him being 9-3 right now. When I caught up with his ranking, and I saw he's like 8-3, I was like, oh wow, okay, he's turning up. And it's not that it's like a uber surprise or anything like that. I mean, like I said, the guy can really ball. And one thing Wakanda mentions that he's going to throw if you allow him to all game long. He will have 40-45 attempts if he feels the gumption to have it that way. And you look at his stats here. Joe Ellis, 34 TDs this season, one of the better QBRs around the league. Of course, he's got Birmingham. He uses Birmingham as a kind of a Swiss Army knife out of the backfield as receiver as well. But the one guy I think in the division that has really kind of changed the kind of the complexion of the division over the last couple of years was the receiver you drafted at the top of the draft a couple of years ago, Matthias Crowther. And Wakanda and I have talked about him on our own and other conversations about how his catch rate is ridiculous. Like, you can throw it anywhere near him, and more than likely 75% of the time he's going to come down with it. Just speak about him, and then also Coates. Coates was another one I remember when you got him, how he helped you. It was him and then Crowther. Speak about the receiving core that you have along with Joe Ellis.
And those two guys are beasts. When you have Crowther one-on-one outside, every time he's open, you either have him slant the out, like he can't be covered in one-on-one. And then we have Coates, the speed. He's my speed guy, so he can take the top off of defense, good on the jet sweeps, and then Birmingham fills in the rest. So they definitely become a nice three-headed monster.
And on the defensive side as well for you, you being one of the top teams, I say middle of the pack overall in terms of the stat-wise, but in terms of, within your division, you got a couple of guys that are really making plays for you. Darian Bradshaw is one that I noticed. And, of course, you got the selfless and the all-world safety and Jamal Adams, protecting you in the deep end, of course, in the box. It's just an all kind of caliber player. Chase Young has engraved himself in the defense. What are you trying to see? And actually, speaking about, your postseason output, what do you see, your team, and what would be key for you guys if you're going to make a run?
Man, it all comes down to Jamal Adams, honestly. You try to get the ball running towards him because he can make somebody fumble any play. So I always try to get them running towards Jamal Adams' side. But I've did a good job of picking up Ballard in the trade with Falco. Picked up I think Bradshaw was in a trade, and then Chase Young in that draft. So having I think Quentin Williams too is a superstar. So having a superstar at every position every position group has been big, and just well balanced now. Feed on the DB.
And to you, Wakanda and Ura, how do you guys look at, of course, because the junker race, but the prospects that right now it looks like BMT may be what looks like the odds-on favorite to win the division and of course clinch his spot in the playoffs. What do you see as his chances against a group that most likely will include someone like J-Rod or Twayne or Hoff, Samoan? What do you think about those prospects?
Well, I mean, we played to start the year, and I feel like every league that we're in, me and BMT end up playing each other. I'm sure he's tired of playing me by now. But as far as like what it looks like for the postseason, I mean, he matches up well against pretty much the entire field. It really comes down to is he going to make the correct reads, and is he going to run the ball with Birmingham? That's the thing I noticed from watching him play and playing them, is that sometimes he gets away from it, and then sometimes he can be too aggressive. I mean, if he keeps those things in control, like he said, having an enforcer in the back end, Adams is good for one turnover a game. So if he can keep it where he's not having, multiple turnovers and making mistakes, the games where he loses against the better users is usually because of that. So I think he can beat, anybody in the AFC. It's just whether, what the style of play was going to be. And then the other thing too, I was going to say, boy, when I rejoined the league, because Smooth won the division, and I've never felt more like a villain at any time in any league that I've ever been in than when Smooth made the playoffs. And I had to play him. I'm like, dang, nobody's rooting for me. I was like, oh, shit. So I felt bad. I'm like, dang. Man. But I was like, I can't go out the first game. Yeah, I'm just like, dang. I want him to say something so I could be an asshole. He a Bears fan, too. I felt bad. Like, everybody's rooting for him. That's my guy. Like, I know he's a nice dude. He's cool as hell. And everybody was rooting for him. I'm like, dang, I'm going to have to beat him, man. Because if I lose this, I'm not going to hear the end of this. So I felt bad about it. I just wanted to say that before.
Ura, same question to you, man.
I feel like he can make noise because, like, the AFC has been a little shaky this year. Like, I mean, just you have.
Agreed.
I mean, if he caught somebody on like a bad day, I think he could win. I still want to see him at least split the next two games against the NFC East. Like, that would kind of earn a little bit more of my respect from him. Because I mean, the only times I've ever played BMT, I've put up. Like, I've had, like, amazing throwing days, and then the last time I played him, he didn't even score a point. So, like, I want to see him, like, win.
Oh, yeah.
But, like,
oh, jeez.
I mean, it was on Showdown. It was, like, 35-0 or something like that. But we don't need to talk about that.
Oh, man.
Never misses an opportunity.
Never.
But, like, I do want to see... I do want to see him win like one of the next two games against either DK or Tom. Like, it would kind of, he needs to, I guess, get more practice against like quality teams like that, like the teams that are usually competing in the playoffs, because it seems like most of his losses are like to teams that he'll play like in Hoff and Wakanda and teams like that. So I feel like if he just needs a little bit more practice against them and kind of get used to how they play with their MSR teams and stuff. But I feel like he could make noise. You can't really say anybody can't in the AFC because it's been such a weird season for the AFC as kind of like J-Rod's kind of trended down. You've got other teams that have been trending up. So I think this is a good year, if any, to make noise in the AFC playoffs. But I'm not 100% sold on them yet, but I think I'm a lot closer to being sold to him than I am of just saying no, he has no chance.
Well, to your point about the competition, I think some of that may, I think, the competition around the league has definitely gone up a bit. But you look at the records, I see what you're saying. I could kind of maybe grasp what you're saying. And look, the win that he had against the Jaguars did come by via forced win, but I don't think that meant anything because I know for a fact I actually think those two actually match up pretty well. And someone mentioned, I forgot who it was earlier, but someone mentioned about him possibly getting to the division round. I think that might have been Smooth or someone like that. But if that was to happen, I would love to see that match between, be a rematch, because that's like his only. I think Simone only has one user loss, and he just had it last week against this week against Cody and the Saints. So I would love to see that matchup against the Jaguars. But look, he's won 5 out of his last 6, and it's always about getting hot at the right time. And now, like you said, it gets down to the point where he's got to meet up against the Giants. He's got to play the Cowboys. And the Cowboys, that running attack is always something you got to look out for.
It worked.
So I'm interested in with that as well, but man, he doesn't waste the shot. BMT, you want to get a quick reaction to that?
Hey man, no doubt need to prove myself to a few other teams. I will say that Conda and Kylo, those guys have always had my number for any league. Man, it's been a struggle with the start of Madden with Wakanda, but no, I think that we can definitely prove some people wrong, especially you, Ra. It's definitely not gonna bother myself with that opinion.
Man, the funny thing is, BMT, it's Smooth's fault, because when I joined that league, I joined the other league to get more reps because Smooth beat the brakes on me the first 2 times we played to start the cycle when I was Raven. We started and I lost, and I was like, okay, he ain't that good. But then I thought about it, and I was like, he actually outplayed me the whole game. Then we restarted and played again, and I lost, and I was like, all right, he didn't beat me twice. Something is going on. I'm trash. So that was why I joined that other league. So I actually blame Smooth. That's his fault. I think I started out 0-4 when we first started.
Yeah, we did. You did. Yep.
I was getting washed, man.
As we keep this moving here on the new Don podcast, want to shout out our sponsor. Want to shout out StubHub. StubHub has recently reached out to the MSR, seen a lot of things that we've had going on, and really want to partner up with us and just help us grow this channel and of course our league in any way they can. You can check them out, StubHub.com. Of course, with COVID-19, some sporting events and concert events are really shut down right now. But when those do start to open back up, remember StubHub.com. People you want to get in touch with, find all the best deals for whatever event that you want to go to. StubHub, an official partner of the MSR and New Dawn podcast. As we keep it moving here, though, fellas, the best rivalry in the division that you guys can speak about. Wakanda, I'm gonna start with you. Who do you think maybe matches up the best in terms of just blow for blow game for you?
I can tell you the most entertaining ones to watch, man. The last 3 games that Twayne and Bueno have played, it's basically been like Big 12 Arena Football League games. Like it's turnovers, touchdowns. There's no punts in any of their games. I watched the last 2, and then the one I went back and watched the one that end. I think it wasn't showdown. It was like the end of the season or something where they had like one of them had archived the stream. And I was watching it, I'm like, dang, they literally do not punt when they play each other. So I think that was the most entertaining to watch. And then when BMT and Bueno play too, those are pretty good games. But I probably would say Twayne and Bueno.
Yeah, Twayne, one thing I say about him this cycle, he can put up points, man. Like I've seen games where he's put up 40, 50 points. Of course, he had a 50-point game this cycle that he came just close to winning against Kylo. There's been a lot. He just
scored 52.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like he can put up points in bunches. Smooth, I've seen Smooth put up 35, 40 points on people, especially with that running back he's got, Joey Johnson. Bueno, I'll go to you on this one, man. Within the division, even if it doesn't include yourself, who do you think maybe matches up the best or is like the closest to a rivalry amongst you?
Yeah, I mean, I will say for me, will probably be Twayne because I will say thank God he doesn't have Julio Jones anymore. He's gone. I don't have to deal with him. But then all of a sudden, he got this rookie wide receiver that just kept doing some crazy catches against me in this last game. But yeah, I will say entertaining-wise would definitely be Twayne. Hardest, definitely be BMT. Me and him, we've had some very good games where we either are grind for grind, play for play, going at each other, or he just ends up whooping my ass and throws all over the field. And then, I mean, and I know with Smooth, he wasn't given the best team. I know since the very beginning, he has developed them and kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt. The moment that he got Joey Johnson, that's where he kind of started picking up and had good things going for him. I'll be honest, I'm not sure what would happen to you this season, man. Kind of fell off. I actually expected you to be at the top with BMT there.
Yeah, lost a lot of winnable games. That's nothing else to it.
Well, what about you, Smooth? What do you think in terms of the same question? Who do you think is the best rivalry amongst you guys, matches up the best?
I would have to say, I gotta say it's Bueno and Twayne. Those games are a blast. But I say a very close second is me and BMT. We have some wild games we play. I think of all the times we played in the cycle, I think one of the games was more than one score. One. Like we literally tooth and nail back and forth. Like I remember last year, I mean, we would have like the wildest game-changing plays. Like I have learned, I swear, and I don't care if I show tendency, I've learned not to run at Jamal Adams. If I see him, I'm going the other way. All day, literally.
Look, between him and Derwin James, you better be nowhere near those two, man.
Yeah, don't even do it. Just don't do it. And it's just, I swear, because it was the one game I played with him. I was like, I'm getting ready to drive in and score, take control of the game. Bam! Jamal Adams fumbled, picks it up, runs it back for a touchdown. I didn't see another point the rest of the game. But yeah, out of those are the games I think are the most entertaining. But I think, to be honest with you, I think the AFC East in its entirety is just like a big, just anything, just the wildest stuff happen.
BMT, I'm gonna go to you on this one, man. Especially this year, since you're starting to climb, come out as the top here. Include this season, and since you've been here, over the last few seasons. Speak about the rivalry maybe that you see or the best matchups, game to game.
I do think it may be Twayne and Bueno for sure. Those guys, like I always, like this week, I was hoping Twayne was going to pull it out because you never know. It's those are definitely the most competitive. But man, I'll tell you what, like every game in this entire division is a one-score game. Bueno, I think he gives me the hardest time for sure. I think I've only beaten him twice actually in the cycle. And yeah, like Smooth and I, we're always a one-score game. Same with Twayne. So honestly, you can't take anyone for granted. They're all super fun and competitive games.
And look, I'll bring it to you last year, Twayne. You see a lot of what's going on in the division, and look, folks said a couple of times that you and Bueno have a lot of good games. Do you agree with that, or is there another matchup that you see?
100%, I agree with that. I think that me and him have the most consistently tight and high scoring games, but it's like they were saying, it's always close no matter which of us is playing. I think BMT, I've lost him by a total of 7 points through our 2 games this season, and the one of the last game that we played, I missed a field goal to send it to overtime, and then just always crazy stuff happens. In my last game against Smooth, I think the final score was 38-35 38-33, yep. And I only gave up 1 offensive touchdown. I would go up by 2 scores and be like, okay, I'm in a good position, and then freaking Joey Johnson takes it 105-yard kickoff to a house, and just crazy stuff. Always, or even just me and Bueno's last game. I think I was up 49-35 or 37 with like 4 minutes to go, and I was like, all right, like we're good to go. And then next thing I know, he's up by a point with a minute and a half left. So it's always a lot of fun. I love our division games.
Yeah, you guys really put it out there each week, and a few of you guys have already spoke to that. Your opinion, who stands out as probably the best rivalry, or 2 users that match up the best each time they meet?
I think it's Twayne and BMT. Just like their play styles, like just kind of it's always seems entertaining. It always seems like a close game. BMT, like you say, like he likes to pass the ball and stuff. Twayne, he's a little bit more balanced in that area, but they just always seem to have close games and stuff, as everybody said. But like I think those are probably the more entertaining ones to watch for me personally.
All right, well, yeah, I'll say this. I think I agree with what most of you guys have said about Twayne and Bueno. You guys really put it out there. But I like to see BMT go up against any of you guys, because I feel like depending on who he's playing, he's going to pass the ball. We know that. But there's some wrinkles that I've seen Smooth throw at him, even if he's come up short a couple of times. I've seen, of course, him and Twayne go at it before. And then Bueno, I think Bueno can be a wild card depending on how he's feeling, what time he plays the game. Of course, this cycle's been a little bit different for him. So I know all those factors come into the play. Right. Look, he caught TJ, I think, a couple weeks ago. In-game weeks, I should say. Call him at like 11 o'clock at night. And I think sometimes it does matter what time you play, especially if you haven't been on your best game. You had a long day at work and you just want to get the game in.
Or whatnot.
so I do like those matchups I do like those matchups involving Bueno and BMT as well, because those are a lot of the fun ones. But as we continue moving here on New Dawn with the AFC East crew, who in the division, I should say, are you most excited to play? Not necessarily the rivalry, but who do you like to play the most? In terms of just maybe because you guys put up a lot of points, or it's a chess match, or it's you never know who's going to win. BMT, I'll start with you.
Man, I think probably Bueno, just because he's beat me the most, I think. So definitely like to play him the most. He was ripping me with Josh Allen, I think, first couple cycles.
How about you, Twayne?
Bueno is probably my favorite, just because it's typically full pedal the whole time, and there's almost no defense played. It's just scoring or turnovers, like Wakanda said earlier.
Smooth?
It's Bueno. I gotta get up for Bueno, because it's like, you know what? Nah, this dude gonna come from my neck, so I gotta be ready for this dude. Like the other ones, it's like I can hang with Bueno. Is like Bueno is he's the biggest potential for like a point avalanche. So you gotta stay up on him. That's the one I gotta get up the most to play is Bueno.
Bueno, how about yourself, man?
That honestly, I feel some type of way now that I haven't lived up to expectations now.
As you should.
I mean, look, like when it comes, like I said, each one of these games I never take it for granted because I know with BMT, I know the first couple of seasons, I had his number, but the moment that he started getting that he got that quarterback, he started getting his receivers. I have no cornerbacks now to defend his offense, so I know I can't beat him now. It's a struggle to it's a challenge to even try to compete with him right now.
That's facts. That's facts.
Smooth came out of nowhere. The moment that he got Joey Johnson, that's when he started taking over the division. I know the first couple cycles for him that it was tough for him to get the team going, but and Twayne, it's always a crazy game. There is no defense whatsoever, and I know you guys have pointed out in the chat too. Oh yeah, Jeremy blaming Madden this, Madden that. Go watch our last game. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna stay quiet. I'm not saying it anymore. I've said my truth.
I've been waiting for that.
The sea of hands. The sea of hands.
Just take a deep breath.
Gotta click on though. That's you're right, but you gotta click on too.
Those were just dots, man.
Tell him, big fella. Tell him.
I saw the window and I put it right in the window, man.
All skill, no luck.
Madden had nothing to do with it.
Wakanda and Ura, man, we've all faced the AFC at one time or another this cycle, especially Wakanda since you've been back. Speak to maybe what one guy, or if it's multiple guys, who do you look forward to playing the most? When you match up.
It depends, man. I mean, it's probably BMT just because I hadn't played him before this cycle, to see where his game is at from August, when, I mean, no disrespect, but he was really bad, to now where it's like I actually have to pay attention. Even the game that we just played at the beginning of the season, I very easily could have lost the game because he got stops. He went down and marched down the field, which most people don't do against me in the start of the game, and he went right down the field. And then there were just certain things or certain formations that he would come out in that I knew 4 or 5 months ago, I know exactly what the play call is. Whereas now it's all right, he's gotten deeper into the playbook. He actually makes reads, so it makes it interesting. Bueno's always fun to play. I'm always interested in playing the former champs and stuff. Smooth, I don't like playing as much because I like him, and he's a Bears fan, and I generally don't like playing runners in general. And then Twayne, we actually haven't played yet. I've labbed with him quite a bit though, but it's probably BMT just to see between BMT and Kylo, those two games from where they were in August to now. Kylo was really good, but now for him to be I would argue he's one of the best players in CFM period, and to see BMT go from being, I would say, below average to an above average CFM player, it's been interesting to kind of watch that because his game is improved quite a bit. So I kind of look forward to those games. We'll probably end up playing again next season if he wins the division, since I won the North, so division winners always play. So we'll play once again next year. So
Ura, same question to you, man. You've seen these guys one time or another this cycle. Speak about who you look forward to playing.
Well, I don't like challenging games, so if I look forward to playing you, I think you're garbage. So I'm going to be nice and not actually say names on this statement. I'm going to say the one I'm afraid to play the most, and that's probably Bueno, just because Bueno with a good running back is really deadly. He's always been that way this cycle, because when he started out the year, he had one annoying running back that didn't even have abilities or something, but he was still
David Johnson.
David Johnson. David Johnson would just make everyone miss. You couldn't tackle him in the open field. And Bueno's defense was really stingy. Bueno was probably one of the first people to actually stop my pre-Bronco run rule. He was probably one of the first ones to actually stop it. So I don't like playing Bueno, because I know that's definitely not an easy game. You never know what's going to happen. Smooth is the most confusing player to me, because somehow, some way, he always seems to work. He just always seems to just magically have a close game with me.
Smooth scores more off of non-offensive touchdowns than anybody else in CFM. This is fact.
I think the last time I played him with the Broncos, I won by 4 points, and I just got lucky. I had a fumble or something to get the ball and score the go-up touchdown or something. Smooth always just confuses me with just how he magically gets points on the board, but
magically,
I mean,
I get what he means. This isn't normal Ura slander. I get exactly what he's saying. It is one of the weirdest things.
It's like
look, I could back that up too. Because playing smooth is a little tricky.
He
Get
doesn't
to the
think-
third quarter, he's winning.
Exactly. You'll be like, what's going on? But like, Smooth always plays close games with me, so I really don't like playing those two. I want to see BMC with his actual team now because like I feel like I haven't really tried against him with an actual team that he has. And then Twayne, yeah, you're there. I don't really fear you at all. But like,
Damn.
Damn.
I walk into New England and
Yo,
expect
do we
to go-
play NFC West next season?
I think we do.
Can
I think you guys
can
do
we
play.
arrange that?
I think we do, and I kind of would.
That's
I'm a
assuming
little
Ura's still in the league after Showdown tonight, but we'll see.
I mean, I'll still be in the league. About to go
Oh,
out
man,
there.
I'm
guys,
expecting the
we'll
chat to
find out
just, like,
tomorrow.
double
Showdown
in.
is happening tonight. We're recording this
Shots like
Wednesday
that.
night.
Hold on.
Wednesday night.
No, King is waiting.
Well, I'll put it this way.
The dude is there. He's
Think of-
staying
I'll put
there.
it this way to button up the topic. Playing, of course, I think we've already met twice this season in terms of the round robin with the division. When I play smooth, it was the same way Wakanda kind of brought up, like how in the third quarter you were like, damn, he's winning. Like it's not that like you're doubting him. It's just that how the game goes, it just kind of, you have to almost wake up and realize what's going on in the game because it's almost like you're lulled to sleep a little bit when you play him. Twayne, like I said, putting up points, you have to you got to suffocate him early. I think so. He's one of those users where you have to get on him quickly because if you give him a couple of drives where he's feeling good, he's making good reads, he's converting third downs, things like that. That kind of that does good for him as the game wanes on. Bueno is one of those guys where literally he can beat you in multiple different ways in terms of situation. Of course, if he's got a good running back and he's controlling the possessions and he's moving the chains and things like that, you got 3-4 minute drives that really forces you to try to almost think like, okay, let me put something up on the board and try to get back in the game. And then of course BMT, man, when I played him, of course it's the passing attack. I love playing passes. That's one thing about me. I actually love playing passes more than I play runners. And basically because I know it's almost like you have to. It's like a chess thing. Like you just want to make sure that you bend a little bit, but then you know what you need to take away. And I haven't played him since he's had these two receivers, Crowther and Coates, at least to my knowledge. And those two are really, I think, a different breed in terms of how he's playing now. And I think especially how the rest of the season may go. That's something I'm keeping my eye on because with those two receivers, man, I think he could be a dark horse candidate for it, and especially Joe Ellis. No one's talking about Joe Ellis outside of a couple of times that maybe he was mentioned on the Showdown or something. He's a player that I think people are going to find out more about, especially if he wins a game or two into the playoffs. As we wrap up here on New Dawn, once again, before we get out of here, I just want to make sure to thank everyone for joining us here tonight, the AFC East edition of this podcast today, and also Wakanda for joining in. I want to end off with a Madden 21 quick fire topic here. And look, we've had some ratings come out over the last week or so. We had some abilities be announced about certain players. I'm going to give everyone about a minute to just speak real quick on just something that they're locked in on, or something that that caught their attention in the Madden 21 news release over the last week or so. Smooth, I'll start with you. What's something that's jumped out at you, whether it be a new contract, rating, team ranking, things like that? What's something that popped out to you so far?
Something that I think popped out to me is I think not so much the ratings themselves, but who they have rated is highly due. Like I think like the pass rusher ones got me like stuck. I was like, I mean, JJ Watt is dope, but I'm like he hasn't really, he didn't make the noise that he normally would make last season, and I'm like,
and he was hurt again.
Yeah, and I was just like, I mean, and I could be a little bit biased because Khalil Mack should still be a 99. I don't care what nobody say.
Facts.
But that's one of the things that really got. I'm like, okay, so which also has me leading to like some of the other abilities, like because I think of a team like the Rams, who they have like an Aaron Donald and a Jalen Ramsey, like how difficult it's going to be to pass against them. So that's one of the things I think is like that's sticking out. Like I'm wondering what it's going to be like for 21.
Bueno, what about yourself, man? What's something that's jumped out to you so far with the Madden 21 news releases?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I've been focusing more on the team that I'm gonna get for the next MSR season. You know, the LA Chargers. Yeah. But I did just actually. I was going over the ratings since they leaked them off. Man, Austin Eckler got 70 strength. Has any of these EA developers seen any games on Austin? Running people over, doesn't go down on the first contact, you know. And I know that every year they try to modify the ratings, whether to kind of make it a little bit lower so some people can stand out better, but then also give these weird abilities that kind of overcome whatever rating that the player has and just defines them by that ability. So I'm curious to see how they learned from this past year, how they could fine tune these abilities where it's not so OP. You know, because the moment that human joystick came out, and along with the jukebox and the spin cycle, it almost became unstoppable. That's when the Meta run started becoming popular with Madden 20, and that's what a lot of people, including me, getting frustrated with this game and just not appreciating it anymore. So I'm excited to see what this next generation brings, whether it be through ratings-wise, ability-wise, or just, you know, gameplay-wise. See what it is that this new Madden will bring to add to the technique, to add to every hesitation, every move that's going to happen in the field. I'm excited for that.
Hello, Neil. Who are you? I am the architect.
So excited!
Twayne, for you, my man. What's something about Madden 21 that's jumped out to you so far?
Well, I seen that it seemed like they kind of across the board lowered QB throw power, and I didn't play the beta or anything, but I heard that something with throwing fatigue. So I'm kind of interested in how all that's going to affect the passing game and how that's going to work out with.
I'll tell you, it won't make Josh Allen any better. Because he has 99 throw power now, and the accuracy was just not there. So
you can work with that.
But that's what I'm most excited to see.
Okay. My man, BMT, what's something so far about Madden 21 that's impressed you?
Impressed me. I mean, at least they got Josh Allen's throw power right. I mean, that's about it. Like, I'm a little disappointed in Madden with how they did the Bills, man. Trey White balled out last year, and I think they did him dirty with his rating. You know, he's easily, you know, if not 1B, number 2 right now in the league. In my opinion, obviously, a little biased though. Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. Hoping the abilities aren't as OP as Bueno said. You know, the escape artist, maybe some of those pass rush ones and jukebox. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. Always looking forward to a smooth new gameplay. It's just something I love to do, man. Every year when the new Madden comes out, and just lab a bit. And as Wakanda says, you know, start it as a bad player in August and be good by the end. So no, I'm just looking forward to it all.
Nice. Improvement is definitely key, my man. Leave that. Wakanda, I'll come to you before we wrap up with Ura and myself. Something in Madden 21, and you know, look, we had these conversations all the time about, you know, diving deep into the game, what we're looking forward to, you know, things kind of improving and what we'll be able to be more successful in. What's something so far that stuck out to you?
Well, I got to play the beta, so it was very interesting to see. A couple of them alluded to it. First thing that jumped out to me was that change of direction rating. That's going to be huge, especially for guys that didn't get a chance to play the beta. The change of direction was interesting because there was players that had high speed, but their change of direction rating was low, and so all those like swerve cuts and changing direction on drags, you know, as you rack the catch, lurking with user lurking in the middle of the field, all those were tied to that change of direction rating, and then that's kind of why the throw power got tuned as well, is because there is more. Trust me, that middle of the field, that intermediate second level that Tim and I always talk about, because that's where you win and lose games, where you can stop people from throwing there, and if you can throw there consistently. It was wide open during the beta. Like, if you weren't committing to a route to take it away early, you weren't getting there late.
Those dig routes, those post routes, those things like that.
Post corners, all that. So basically, the whole West Coast offense is viable now. which I think is dope.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't be able to cover 3 levels of the field with one
person.
linebacker or person. Yeah.
Right.
So I thought that was dope. The other thing too that I really liked and enjoyed was the throw power, which is what Twayne was talking about, where it's not that there's a fatigue, it's basically there's a max now. So you can't wait. You can't see a streak 2 seconds late and then try to throw it down there. But Madden's going to cap where the ball goes. So it's going to sit up there like a duck so that the defenders can get back and throw it. So if you're late on those vertical reads, you're not going to be able to just throw it, super late because you saw it late. So that's what it's tied more to that throw power. So if you got an 87, throw power guy like a Phillip Rivers and you throw it late, it's going to hang up there. So, and then kind of like what he was talking about with Josh Allen. Josh Allen can get the ball out there, but he's going to put it, in the third row sometimes. Sorry, BMT. But so that was very interesting to see. I'm more curious to kind of see because franchise mode wasn't in the beta this year. So that was a little bit disappointing. I usually like to take a deep dive in the franchise and play with ratings and sliders and all that good stuff to figure out what was out there. But so far, from what I saw when we played it, the change of direction, it was a nice touch. A lot of the gameplay stuff got cleaned up. I'm cautiously optimistic to see if that's the build that we get, because that's exactly what happened last year with the beta, where we played it and the build came out and it was great. And I was getting torched the first month and then it got patched and it ended up being a completely different game. So I liked what I saw in the beta. There was a lot of stuff, a lot of complaints that I think they heard from us and they put into the game. I still think that there's, a whole complete overhaul that needs to happen for the mode itself, for franchise mode. But as far as the gameplay, I thought it took some steps forward for sure.
Oorah, before I wrap it up, man, what's something about Madden 21 that you noticed and stuck out?
Playing the beta, like Wakanda said, like you can't really like user a linebacker and shut down the entire middle of the field, which I like that. I like kind of like how we have to strafe in here. I like having the middle of the field, you not being able to cover it all. I really like that the users don't get a speed boost now. So like if you have 99 speed and you have a 95 speed covering them, the 99 will actually beat them even if you're using them. I really liked that. I liked how the cover 2 didn't cover the middle of the field that well this year. Or as in Madden 20, it always feels like you could attack the middle of the field of a cover 3 better than you could attack the middle of the field on a cover 2, which I didn't really like. Right. I think the beta did that really well, where like you can attack the middle of cover 2 again. Henderson, I feel like is probably going to be the best rookie cornerback off of everything, because I feel like speed really mattered in the beta, and if it continues to matter, it'll be really important next year. And I feel like Henderson, with his 92 speed and like really good athletic traits, he's average in the cover traits compared to Okudah, but Okudah just being so slow, I feel like Henderson will probably be the best rookie cornerback. But other than that, I mean, it's the throw power being lower. It feels like you didn't really need a huge arm to throw deep. Like I dropped like a 60-yard pass down the field with Lamar Jackson, and I don't really feel like Lamar Jackson had that good a throw power. So I like that too, but I feel like it's going to be interesting because I want to see what they change before really be like all in on Madden 21. Because the beta from last year to this year was a bit different in some areas.
Yeah, it was night and day. I agree with you on that.
And on my side, something that's really I liked the most about the beta, playing the few games that I did, was like I was down in a couple of games and I didn't feel like the game was tilted to the point where I felt like I couldn't come back. And that's something that sometimes, at least in 20, where if you got you're playing a team that's got certain abilities, especially on the defensive side of the ball, it just feels like you almost have to play too perfect in certain situations to kind of get yourself back in the moment, or get back in the matchup. And being able to I played with the Ravens, I played with the Falcons, and just seeing how certain players on the field, like actually not even just the Falcons, the Bucks, like just seeing how they have so many weapons, and like how Tom Brady, and you just kind of trying to translate that to the real world and what you're going to see. You see Scotty Miller, I call it Scotty Too Hotty, and you got Chris Godwin, you got Rob Gronkowski, then you forget about O.J. Howard. Then that's all before you even say anything about Mike Evans. You know what I mean? Then you still have Ronald Jones, and of course Tom Brady's the quarterback. So it's so many different. I want to see how all this stuff just kind of comes together, man. Like Oorah said, I want to see how everything is kind of buttoned down after those patches and all the tuning and everything is put together. Of course, we'll have other updates throughout the Madden cycle that always happen, but I think the passing game will be very vital, and I think the run game isn't as a tuned down as people think it is. Like in terms of,
we're still there.
It still matters. The running game still matters, and if you know what you're doing, there's more cleaning. There's more clean running. There's more. You're able to run through holes. You're not tripping up too much. You're able to kind of guide yourself through these holes and make the proper thick moves. And I think that there's going to be a lot of real interaction with those users that are used to being able to swerve and go out to the outside. That won't be the case anymore. You won't have too much of that.
It's going to take one game.
That run into the 90-degree, run into the sideline, try to get those pursuit angles. Those won't be there anymore. And I'm looking forward to that, because I feel like a lot of games were won and lost on those type of moments where you have the angle on the guy, but then you almost get warped into having to follow them instead of really cutting them off, unless you were just usering and serving all that type of stuff. But at a baseline level, I like kind of the formula that I'm starting to see in terms of where they're going to Madden 21. Of course, you still want to make sure that they look after Madden franchise, of course, and hoping that's going to be right. But I want to thank everyone for joining us here on this podcast. It's the AFC East edition of this one, and I feel like this was a great show. BMT, Bueno, Smooth, and Twayne. Can't forget you this time, my God. We all had a good conversation about some really good stuff within your division, and of course, we talked about Madden 21 before we get out of here, fellas. Thank you. And also, Wakanda, thank you for stepping in tonight for Jugs, and I'm stepping in for Falco hosting. It was a really good show. This is a really good show. And is Falco pulling a DK here?
Yeah, I'm pulling the DK real quick. Before we shut off, I just want to get Ural's take on the next beatdown he's about to get here at 9 o'clock Eastern time. Are you about to get another suspension, or what's going to happen here?
I'm more curious to see if King's going to actually throw a touchdown pass that's going to go 1 yard above the line of scrimmage this game. So
wow.
You know, see, I heard Tim already making the comment going around the chat.
Come on, man. Well, that's how we're going to wrap this one up, as Falco sounds like he is in the middle of a wind tunnel. We appreciate everyone joining us here on the New Dawn podcast. Falco pulling the DK. I want to thank our sponsor, League Crawler. Check them out on the website, leaguecrawler.com. Also on Twitter at League Crawler. And then, of course, our new partner, StubHub. Checking us out. If you're looking for everything going on with the upcoming events, of course, COVID-19 has things shut down right now. But when they do, check us out on our website, maddensimrevolution.com. You can check the link for StubHub there. Also, check out that website, maddensimrevolution.com. We have all new merch. Check out what's going on with the staff. You see who's a part of the staff, our rules, and also put in the application if you are interested. You can also check us at daddyleagues.com/MSR. Fellas, we are out of here. Thank you all for joining us. We catch you guys on the next episode of New Dawn Podcast.
NDP.